November 1922. In the heart of Egypt, a sealed stone doorway is breached for the first time in over 3,000 years. Howard Carter, Lord Carnarvon, and their team peer into darkness, a tomb untouched since the reign of a forgotten boy king. Witnesses report warnings inscribed on the threshold, but history records what happened next. A series of sudden deaths and fear spreading among Egypt's most respected archaeologists. The tomb was opened, history was uncovered, but the consequences are still debated. Early in the morning on November 4th, 1922, a local worker named Hussein Abdul Rasul paused as his water jar struck something solid beneath the dust. He cleared away more earth, revealing the top of a cut stone step, one that had been hidden for centuries beneath the rubble-strewn floor of the Valley of the Kings. Howard Carter, supervising nearby, hurried over as more steps were uncovered, descending into the bedrock. The team worked carefully, each layer of debris removed with growing anticipation. At the base of the stairway, they found a sealed mud brick doorway. The plaster was stamped with the royal insignia, a cartouche bearing the name of Tutankhamun, a pharaoh lost to history. The seal's impression was clear and unbroken, evidence that the entrance had not been disturbed since it was closed more than 3,000 years earlier. Carter recorded the moment in his pocket diary, noting the intact seals and the extraordinary possibility that the tomb inside might remain untouched. For days, the workers and archaeologists stood before the doorway, aware that any misstep could destroy evidence preserved since the 14th century BCE. The dry desert air, the silence, and the weight of so many centuries pressed in as they prepared to breach the tomb. The discovery of those hidden steps and the undisturbed seal was more than just luck. It was the first sign that this find would rewrite the story of ancient Egypt. Howard Carter understood that discovery alone would mean little without a precise and lasting record. As soon as the tomb's entrance was secured, he began the painstaking work of documentation. Historical records confirm that every detail was logged, each seal, each step, each artifact in its original position. Carter's diary, now preserved as facsimile pages at the Griffith Institute, captured the first interior glimpse on November 26, 1922. He described the jumble of gilded couches, chests, and statues, all shrouded in ancient linen and dust. To prevent confusion or loss, Carter established a strict catalog system. Every object received a unique number, entered into field notebooks alongside measured sketches and location notes. The system allowed later researchers to trace the exact placement of each item, from the smallest amulet to the massive gilded shrines. Photographer Harry Burton, working in the dim light of the tomb, created over 1,000 glass plate images. These photographs, now part of the official record, captured the tomb's condition before a single artifact was moved. Carter's methods extended to daily logs, correspondence, and even packing lists for the eventual transport to Cairo. His approach was methodical, driven by the awareness that the tomb's contents represented a unique snapshot of royal life and death from 3,300 years earlier. The accuracy of his notes and images remains the foundation for all subsequent analysis. Without this meticulous record, the story of Tutankhamun's tomb would be incomplete, its wonders reduced to rumor and speculation rather than enduring fact. Inside the tomb, the treasures of Tutankhamun lay hidden in the darkness, untouched since the 14th century BCE. The first thing to catch the light was gold, and it gleamed from the surfaces of chairs, beds, chariots, and statues, each piece crafted for a boy king's journey into eternity. The centerpiece of the burial was a series of nested shrines and coffins, each fitting snugly inside the next like puzzle pieces. The innermost coffin, forged from solid gold and weighing over 110 kilograms, held the pharaoh's remains. Its surface was inlaid with colored glass and semi-precious stones. The gold worked so finely that every feature of the king's face seemed to breathe with life. Resting atop the mummy's head was the funerary mask, perhaps the most recognized artifact from ancient Egypt. Composed of more than 11 kilograms of beaten gold, the mask was inlaid with lapis lazuli, quartz, obsidian, and turquoise. The eyes, rimmed in black, stared out with an intensity that has never faded. The mask's broad collar shimmered with hundreds of carefully placed stones, each chosen for its symbolic meaning. Even after more than 3,000 years, the craftsmanship was flawless. The mask not only protected the king's face, but it also proclaimed his divine status in the afterlife. Surrounding the burial were chariots, ceremonial beds shaped like sacred animals, and a throne inlaid with gold leaf and colored glass. The walls were lined with statues of gods and servants, ready to serve the king in the world beyond. Each object, no matter how small, was made with care, evidence of a civilization that poured its skill and faith into the promise of immortality. Preserving the treasures of Tutankhamun's tomb required more than careful hands. It demanded scientific innovation. When the first artifacts emerged from the darkness, many were on the verge of collapse. Ancient wood, linen, and gilded surfaces had survived 3 millennia in a sealed environment, but contact with fresh air threatened to undo that preservation in days. Alfred Lucas, the expedition's chief chemist, set up a makeshift laboratory near the tomb. Lucas devised specialized resin formulas to stabilize the most fragile finds. For wooden chariots and furniture, he combined 75% paraffin wax with 25% beeswax, melting the mixture and brushing it onto cracked surfaces. Severely brittle pieces received an added touch of Canada balsam for extra strength. Textiles, including linen wrappings and ceremonial garments, were immersed in a blend of paraffin, beeswax, and gum arabic, then laid out to dry on perforated trays. These treatments restored flexibility and prevented further crumbling. Gilded objects, masks, statues, and thrones were spot-treated with a solution of paraffin wax and damer resin, protecting delicate gold leaf from flaking and oxidation. Every step was documented. Harry Burton, the Metropolitan Museum's photographer, worked alongside Lucas, capturing over 1,400 images. His glass plate photographs recorded not just the beauty of each object, but their condition before and after conservation. Lucas's notes, now held at the Griffith Institute, reveal that more than 500 kilograms of wax and resin were used in the first years alone. Without these efforts, many of Tutankhamun's treasures would have disintegrated before reaching the Cairo Museum. The work of Lucas and Burton ensured that the world could study, not just imagine, the wonders of the boy king's tomb. News of Lord Carnarvon's death on April 5, 1923, sent shockwaves far beyond the Valley of the Kings. His passing, just months after the tomb's opening, was quickly reported as more than a medical tragedy. Medical reports at the time suggested blood poisoning from an infected mosquito bite, complicated by pneumonia, yet the press latched onto the timing. Exclusive rights for coverage had been sold to the Times, fueling fierce competition and speculation among rival papers. Headlines spoke of curses and mysterious forces, while first-hand accounts from physicians and Carter's own notes pointed to natural causes. Meanwhile, Pierre Lecoux, the director of Egypt's Antiquities Service, clashed with Carter over access and control, insisting on Egyptian oversight. As rumors spread, the story leapt from scientific circles to public imagination, turning a single fatality into a global legend that outpaced the facts. But what happened after the tomb was opened raised even more questions. Scientists have spent decades searching for a rational explanation behind the so-called curse. Microbiologists examined samples from the tomb and discovered spores of Aspergillus fungi on the walls and on the mummy itself. These molds can cause severe illness in people with weakened immune systems, yet most of Carter's team lived long lives. Air quality studies in the Valley of the Kings measured only low levels of dust and spores, far below what would be considered deadly. Statisticians looked at the records and found that the mortality rate among those present at the tomb's opening matched the average for their age and era. Despite extensive research, no single environmental or statistical factor explains the pattern of deaths. No definitive conclusion has been reached. Much remains unexplained. If you're enjoying these real historical mysteries, consider subscribing to Unfold the Truth. New documentary videos are released every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Even today, the story resists a simple answer. Today, Tutankhamun's tomb stands as a reminder that some discoveries raise more questions than answers. Science continues to probe ancient mysteries, but the debate over consequence versus coincidence endures. Was this simply coincidence, or did opening the tomb come at a cost we still do not fully understand?